in this event.
Are you not alone? Is there other spirits?
Whoa. The Foreman brothers have actually captured a shadow figure on camera. I'm shocked. Beaters, widows, balls of ghouls, how are you all doing? So, I've had a number of people reach out to me. They're like, hey, Foreman brothers have captured a shadow figure. Well, that's not how they've done it. Some people have said the Foreman brothers have captured a shadow figure, and some people have said, check out the Foreman brothers shadow figure. Debunk that. Alright, cool. Is this fake? Have they added anything in? Is there any editing, any trickery, any tomfoolery? Not editing wise. We'll play the clip again, but we'll play a little bit more of it so we can get the context, because basically the bigger guy with the piercing says he sees a shadow figure at the bottom of the stairs, and then a few minutes later, that's exactly what they capture. Is it? It's not. We'll go for the full clip here. So you're looking in this area. Something kind of moves across there. There's a little black patch there. That don't really matter much, I don't think. We'll play it, and then frame by frame, I'll tell you exactly what's caused it. And I think they know what's caused it, because they do the whole, yeah, we clearly weren't moving, even though one of them clearly is moving.
After reviewing all the camera angles,
So as you can see there was a shadow figure, and Josh has leaned forward and pulled back and all that. And this is where this gets a bit confusing, because they show different angles and his movement is different, which is why I think they pull in the wool.
So are you not alone? Is there other spirits in here?
Well, that does look like the shadow of somebody walking past. It does. But they say about windows being closed, curtains being closed, and them not moving. And it does look like a shadow. It's very dark. I don't think it's been done in editing.
after reviewing all the camera angles,
So in that clip there, I think that's Josh or Sean. I can't remember. Fred Durst. Leaning forward and then pulls back as the shadow walks past on this side-by-side analysis. And nothing about that says he's created that shadow. His movements don't match that, really. But don't forget, there's two cameras in there with IR on there. Both cameras, I think, are being handheld.
after reviewing all the camera angles, we couldn't find a rational explanation for this shadow figure.
Tell me who sleeps downstairs?
Okay, so this time he's already leaned forward and leaned back, and there's a little bit of shadowing. Now, what I want you to look at here is look how much the shadow and light is moving here, and watch how little his camera moves to cause all of this movement. So go frame by frame, move the camera just a little bit, and look at all this from those little tiny bits of movement. That's very little movement on his camera. There's a hell of a lot of movement over there. So this is actually in real time, according to them. There's no time stamps, so we can't be 100% sure, but he leans back. That shadow figure hasn't appeared yet. So the first clip they played, that showed him moving, they were out of sync. If this we are led to believe is in sync at this point. So he leans back. We have to bear in mind how little camera movement has cast shadows out into that little corridor from Rocky. That's definitely Rocky on the camera. I don't think I've ever heard him speak. So Sean is moving there. So he's moving there, or Fred Durst. And you can see that his movement is creating a shadow there. This area. He moves all the way forward, and there's a little bit of shadowing and stuff. And this camera is pointing directly at him. He's obviously got himself comfortable, and then he lifts his arms. So he moves his left arm. And his left arm affects kind of out there a little bit. But we see this movement here. That's just artifacting. That's not artifacting as in they've added something. That is just the natural artifacting of low light and IR. It happens. The image is dirty and grainy. And the bigger the distance, the darker the room, the harder it is. So we've got a little pulsar shadow up there, but this is just artifacting. And the reason I keep calling it the artifacting and the colour pulsing or the light pulsing here is with very little movement of the camera and very little movement from the foreman brother, furthest away from us, it's still affecting that hallway. He dips his head a little there, and the shadow has moved up there. So if we were to look at this, his hat is causing a shadow there. Cool. Rocky hasn't moved the camera. He's not moved his head. There's no movement there.
Are not up walking around during this event.
What the hell caused that? That, the size of that thing. Massive. Massive, massive shadow. But look at us. None of us are up walking around. That's distracting you from something. That's distracting you from the fact that he has just lifted his arm and then leaned in front of the camera.
Brothers and I are not up walking around
Not
during
up
this
walking
event.
around.
Are you not alone?
There goes that shadow. No, you're not up walking around. That bright white patch there is that IR reflecting. That IR is pointing at you. And then you scratch your head and start to bring your arm down. As you bring your arm down, and as you turn your head, this shadow moves. There's your hand. Look, that's your hand blocking the IR bar. There. Hand moving, IR blocking. So this entire time when your hand is moving in front of your face and down across your body, and then bang. That's not a shadow walking across the wall. That's you casting a shadow from your arm across the wall. You've tipped your head forward. You've messed with your headphones. But his camera is slightly moving here, look. We know already that these slight movements on the camera, just little tilts to the left and right and up and down, has messed with the light out there. But now you've got your hand there in your hat and you're leaning into the light. And the fact that that shadow, when it trails off into obscurity, follows the path of your arm. That's not a ghost. That's not a shadow figure. That is you. That is a debunk. That is a debunk. No name calling, no nothing. It's a mixture of a camera moving in infrared. Little micro movements are causing tons of light, bleed, and shadow play out in that little corridor or hallway. And then one of them leans in, puts his hand down, and the shadow follows his hand. Once his hand has stopped and he's back in the position he was in, there's a big white spot on the wall again. Absolutely debunked as far as I am concerned. So have they faked it? No. They haven't deliberately cast a shadow and then claimed it to be a shadow figure. But they pull in the wool. For him to say none of us were up walking about, but to deny the fact that you were moving and the shadow moves, you've put the side-by-side footage up there and didn't notice that your own arm and your own head and Rocky's camera were moving in line with that shadow. You've created that shadow. Maybe they're mistaken and maybe I've just helped out this family because we all know the Foreman brothers. We all know their MO. They turn up places, they get a dark story, and, they turn up to these people's houses. This house is very clean and it's not quite as, it's not the usual fodder. They show the old house where this haunting stemmed from. What did it stem from? This guy and a Ouija board. I'm not a mental health practitioner or anything, but just listen to the tone of these people. Listen to the way they tell their story. Go and watch the original. Make your own mind up. Do these people not seem like maybe before you go in there and shout out, there's a shadow figure across the wall, let's get out the Jesus juice and spray it everywhere? Do you not think that maybe there should be some sort of mental health intervention first? Some form of questioning, some form of doctor's note to say that these people are not struggling with their mental health. Because neither of them look particularly happy. Now, could that be because of the haunting? I guess. But then for the Foreman brothers to go in there, use every device I've ever seen anyway, all of it give them information, every video they ever put out have evidence, every single time. Very rarely do they turn up somewhere and a device not go off. They go off everywhere. And that's why they use these devices, because it gives them an episode. Because if you took out the REM pod activations, the broken audio recorders they use, you can hear hissing and all sorts, the coffin music boxes, the mobile phone applications, if you took all of their gadgets out of it, what evidence have they captured in any of their investigations, really? Apart from misidentified things. That's right, there's nothing. This one, it's all creaks, pops and bangs, house sounds as I would like to call them. And then a shadow that is clearly caused by one of them moving and camera movement. So they've captured precisely nothing evidence-wise. Broken gadgets, mistaken identity in one place, and then they call the family back in and do the woo-woo, rubbing oil in the walls and whatever. Maybe that helps the family. Maybe the family feel better after that. Good for them. Genuinely good for them. But if the family are watching this, may I say something to you? You don't need to be scared. You really don't need to be scared. There is not a shadow figure in your house. It's the shadow of one of the investigators, and they didn't pick up on it. You're safe. Safe as houses, because that shadow doesn't exist without him there. And I do question the Freeman, because they do the side-by-side comparisons, and there's one bit where he's leaning, and the shadow moves, and there's another bit where he's not leaning, and his arm moves, and the shadow's there. And it's like, you've synced up two different portions to that one clip. Which one is it? Because in both of them, Fred Durst is moving. So I'm pretty confident that I have 100% debunked that. Not a shadow figure, it's them moving. I question the Freeman. I question everything these guys do. And I genuinely feel for the families that these guys are putting their bullshit onto. So do please let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section down below. Now, Paranormal Nightmare fans, please, please, pretty please, don't send me bullshit legal notifications this time. Because the last time I covered these guys, somebody was sending me court documents that they'd made on ChatGPT. And you called me toxic. Much love to you all. Beardo out.